I'm a little late doing this because I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be your first video, but hello, I'm Gwen, and today we're doing my Booktube Newbie Tag. Alright, the first question is, why did you start this channel? I want to talk about books. I have my best friend is into reading, but we don't talk about books as much as I would being part of this community. I used to have a more manga-centric channel, but I like reading both, and some months I'm in more of a manga mood, and in some months I'm in more of a book mood. So when I had an audience built up around manga, and then I went 2 months without reading a manga because I was just more focused on books, it's kind of hard to make that content. And when I tried to kind of transition, when you have 1,500 people that are there for manga and you start posting about normal books, that doesn't really go well. So this is kind of a start over channel. I want to talk about both. I want to talk about everything I read, and I think that it will just be better going to just start here as a new fresh channel and talk about what I want to talk about. What are fun and unique things that you can bring to YouTube? I'm just another white girl joining Booktube. I guess the only kind of unique things about me, I'm super into animals. I'm an equestrian. My horse passed away, so I haven't ridden in a while, but I will definitely call out weird horse stuff in books. I'm asexual. That's a unique perspective. Unfortunately, I'm really not into just kind of contemporary literature. I'm not into just romance, so I'm not really sure how much the whole asexual thing is going to come into play when it comes to me talking about and reviewing books, which is totally fine, but my uniqueness doesn't really come in handy for this. So the next question is, what are you excited about for your channel? I'm excited to talk about our books and what we read and making bookish friends. I like participating in readathons and challenges and all of that. Of course, down the line, if people like me enough and I have a big enough following, if I start getting arcs or something, that would be super exciting, but that's not the focus. I just really want to talk to people about books and get book recommendations and read and talk about what I'm reading, and yeah, that's mostly what I want. And I'm a creative person, and I enjoy making content and videos as well. Why do you love reading? So I have always read. Both of my parents are bookworms, so it's just kind of inevitable, I think, for me to also be a bit of a bookworm. I just enjoy the stories. I tend to enjoy more kind of plot-based books because I want to be transported to another world. Another reason I don't really read contemporary fiction and just fiction sort of thing. I want the excitement of another world or of horror or thriller aspect. It's just a wonderful way to pass the time. It's exciting. It's hard to put into words, but as fellow readers, I'm sure you understand that just being in a book is such a wonderful experience. What book series got you into reading? Oh gosh. I don't know the exact series. If I'm talking series, and the earliest series I remember reading, it was kind of a mix of the Warriors series and the Guardians of Gaul series. I did rebuy the first part of the Warrior series. I'm hoping to get the Guardians of Gaul series so I can have them again and reread them. Those are probably the earliest series that I actively remember enjoying and choosing and wanting to read. But I've always read. I've always had my nose in a book of some sort. I've always talked to my dad. Well, even when I was little, my dad would kind of dumb down the plots of his adult high fantasy books and tell me the stories. And yeah, I've always read, but yeah, those are the first ones that come to mind. All right, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? Probably the standard, how do you read so much, and how do you think of interesting content? I have kind of a content list that will get me going for a while, but as far as thinking up cool and unique ideas, it's a bit of a struggle, and I'm definitely curious how people go about doing that. What challenges will be the hardest for Booktube? I think there will definitely be some, because there's a lot of kind of pressure, I know, to like read a lot and have a lot to say about the books you read. And I think just being comfortable with the fact that I'm more of someone who enjoys having books and I enjoy reading them and I want to talk about them, but I'm not an in-depth reviewer. Like, I'm never going to be the person who can sit and make a video just about one book. That's just not me. It's never been me. I wouldn't really call myself a book reviewer, though I will give my thoughts and feelings about the books I read. That's just not quite the route that I would take my channel, or really that I go. There's also, I mean, life happens. I am not always going to be able to read 20 books in a month. I mean, just kind of not comparing yourself to others, that it's okay if you read one book this month. It's okay if you're not hauling the newest releases all the time. I think just not falling in that trap of comparing myself to my fellow creators is going to be the biggest challenge. When did you start reading? As soon as I could. I was hooked on phonics and learning to read before I even set foot in a school, and my parents were actually told to stop teaching me at home because I was reading too advancedly for my age in elementary school. Of course, my parents said screw you to the school and continued to teach me, because if I wanted to read and was good at reading, then why would you squash that? So yeah, I've always, since I was like itty bitty, had my nose in a book. Where do you read? Depends mostly. I'll either read in bed, I'll read at my desk right here, or I'll read at work. My job, I'm kind of fortunate that half of the job is just being in the room that I'm in. So if things aren't really happening for me to deal with, then I can just kind of sit there and read a book. And lastly, what kind of books do you read? I mostly enjoy high fantasy, but I mean, I'm definitely not above more like modern fantasy or very light fantasy. I like science fiction now and then. I enjoy like horror thriller. I'm really not a just kind of contemporary fiction, romance, that sort of thing. Like, never say never. They just don't tend to be the kind of books that I enjoy. Oh, I also enjoy, probably the closest I get to that is I enjoy nonfiction, memoirs, just books about stuff. I enjoy learning. So it's kind of, if we're not talking about magic, sci-fi, or horror, then I want it to be an actual real story. So yeah. That is my Booktube Newbie Tag. Thank you for welcoming me into your community. I am happy to be here. I hope that I can bring something of value to the community, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!